I'm gonna tweet. Okay, it's not gonna be live, but we're still doing it.
Still do it.
So, what did you do for today besides drink Australian beer?
Well, I drank Australian beer. I drank 2 kinds of American beer. One of them from Dallas, and the other one was Miller Lite. My dad has like a yearly, for the 4th we host like a little party for his nurse. She comes and brings her kids, and they come and swim in our pool, and we grill food. What about you?
We just had
lunch.
Yeah, brats.
Oh, nice. What do you eat on your? What's the? Oh, we talked about this a little bit last week. What's the condiment? What
we talked about condiments. We didn't talk about how we dress our hot dogs.
What's the dressage for your hot dog? What are we talking?
Well, I'm very anti-mustard, so.
Really?
Yeah, I hate mustard.
Not at all. Not even on a dog.
Mm-mm.
Not even a dog.
Nope.
No mustard on a dog.
Gross.
Oh my god. It's gross.
Do you like mustard?
Shit, yeah, man, I do.
That's okay.
I feel bad.
No, it's okay. I think it's because my dad doesn't like mustard either.
That's why I do.
Yeah.
I feel really
he
bad.
always gets his burgers with mayo instead of mustard.
But does he get ketchup too?
Maybe sometimes he adds, like if he's making his own burger at home, he'll probably put some on there.
Probably put some.
Yeah.
But not otherwise.
No, but I'm okay on mayo. I'm not huge on mayo, so yeah. As far as hot dogs, it's usually just ketchup. Maybe some dill relish, because I don't like sweet pickles either.
Yeah, fuck sweet pickles.
I like regular pickles.
Who the fuck even? And what the fuck? Like, relish is like one of the worst formats of a pickle. Like, and so,
yeah.
So someone was like, okay, let's say sweet pickles, which are already reviled, and then we'll put them in the worst format in which a pickle can be presented.
Yeah, a lot of people like.
What the fuck is that stupid
People
shit?
like sweet pickles, and I don't understand why. I think the whole appeal of a pickle is like the extreme vinegar of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that very bitter, sharp, sour.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I agree.
I think relish works
Moderation.
in some cases. Like
rare.
If like I like tuna sandwiches with pickles. The more I like say that to people, it seems like something that not a lot of people like. Tuna and pickles together.
I haven't heard the two together, but I think they're both good on their own. And
yeah,
I don't really like tuna sandwiches, but they
Well, yeah, it's
sorry,
okay.
go ahead.
That's I think that's another thing that like
part of your identity.
It's because of my mom. My mom, when she was pregnant with me, ate tuna sandwiches and pickles at the same time. I think it was a craving that she just started.
Satisfied.
Yeah.
With an itch to scratch.
Yeah. So that's something that I really like. So I think relish would be okay in that situation because it would allow an even spread on the entire. Of course, you would lose the crunch.
That's true.
That I like when putting pickles on a sandwich, but I think the taste would still be there. So
it's worth it.
Yeah, it wouldn't bother me that much.
Okay, that's fair.
But maybe on the hot dog is the best place for it because you can just.
Yeah.
But I mean, even then, I'm not really into hot dogs that much anyway.
You're more of a burger guy?
Yeah, I like burgers more.
Do you do chicken salad over tuna salad or tuna salad over chicken salad?
If I was at gunpoint and picked tuna salad, I like more.
But sometimes you do one or the other?
Yeah, sometimes. But generally, I like tuna a lot.
Really good. I was really hoping you would not say you do tuna sandwiches all the time.
No, I don't. I couldn't eat tuna every single day.
Yeah, it's fair.
It's very good. It's just not.
Only
it's pretty good.
Only like Dahmer likes tuna every day, man.
Yeah.
Only motherfuckers like that. If you eat tuna every day, you become a necrophiliac. That's just. The two things are connected.
Yeah, that's the natural
It's
progression.
just the way that works. You want to do the intro?
Yeah, go ahead.
There you go.
Martini police. Police. Martini police. Read a book.
Very good. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was one of the best ones we've done thus far.
I think that was pretty good.
It was.
We were more in sync.
That's true. We were. We really bound together with that one. Yeah. You know that song by
By what?
I had to get my voice ready to sing it.
I don't know what you're talking. What song is it?
Oh, Bound to.
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
How you gonna be mad on vacation?
What does on me run all these Jamaicans?
Do you think
Kanye West?
Yeah.
Fuck him.
Fucking.
What are we doing? Like,
Do you think Jesus is his worst album?
ooh, this is probably gonna stir up some shit. Cause
You love Jesus.
I love it. And
Yeah.
in fact, I think it's maybe his best album.
Ever?
But I hate him now.
No,
But
I hate him as a
Jesus was-
person.
No, sorry.
Yeah.
We have already covered that. You're right. We did just both.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad that we. But yeah, what do you think about Jesus? What are your thoughts?
If the fly would stop bothering me.
Boog.
I generally like it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's my favorite of his.
Yeah. How does it stack up to the others?
I mean, I'm not really even. As much as I try, Kanye is not one of my favorite rappers, and I
Oh,
don't
yeah?
think he ever will be.
Mm,
There's just.
things about him.
Yeah, and it's just like. Just listening to his voice sometimes leaves a sour taste.
Oh no, I know what you mean.
Especially because of like his most recent like promotional rollout of his latest stuff. It's
His
just
latest
like
stuff. What a macabre like usage of like public influence.
yeah,
Like just oh my god, it's like grotesque how terrible of a job he's done at like promoting the important issues and taking like a good like an ethical and like well-reasoned political stance given his attention
yeah.
like culturally. It's just
It's
like,
not like that's. Well, I think that's the thing about it. It wasn't even close to. He wasn't doing it for the sake of like. It was just for the controversy. He's not. I don't think he actually has a nuanced opinion on those kinds of things. He just said that stuff because he knew that it would draw headlines.
Well, I mean, are you sure?
I don't know. No, I'm not
That's
sure.
The thing is, it's like right. This is a good.
I know
point.
that's something that's always been in his personality.
yes.
Is he's tried to,
Stir up the pot.
yeah,
But
and that's how he's gotten his records out there.
attention.
Yeah,
But it's like you see these like screenshots of conversations he has with like John Legend or like anyone else close, and it's like he's like, just love, man, like one, which is like, that's that shit that like Erykah Badu talks about,
yeah.
and he does it in a similar way as her. So it's like, I feel like there is something he believes in that like manifests itself. Oh, there's a bunny. You want to go try and grab it?
Over there?
Yeah. Can you see
Oh,
it?
that's too far.
It is pretty far. Here, I'll be right back. I'm just kidding.
I don't think it'll. Yeah, see, it's already.
I wouldn't get it.
It heard you
Yeah.
like from that far away. It's like I'm
He was
gonna
like, I'm gonna go.
change locations.
Bunnies can actually die from fright. Their like
That's horrible.
cardiovascular system is sensitive enough to the point where something as sudden as like an oncoming car or like a bypasser just
It's
disrupting
horrible.
their path can like cause their heart to like go into an arrhythmic.
Where did you learn
Yeah,
that?
just shoot them right out. My mom actually told me this last night. She's like an animal guru.
Wow.
She was like, yeah, they like
I
you
didn't
like
know your
kill a
mom was.
rabbit.
I didn't know your mom
Scare
was
it.
capable of such a dark thought.
She's killed a couple rabbits in her days by scaring them. I'm just kidding. My mom.
I thought you were about to say like for sport.
Right? No, God. I don't know how
My mom just loves killing
she just
rabbits.
loves killing rabbits. I don't quite know how she's not yet gotten into an accident by avoiding animals. Because she avoids animals
does
like
that
a
a lot.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Like, even like... And I like... Even like... not like avoiding roadkill for the sake of not getting anything on your tires, but like she does it out of respect.
Well, yeah, that's what I would do too.
Even like really smeared roadkill, because she like dried up like.
Oh, like already dead
roadkill.
animals.
Oh yeah, totally dead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is kind of.
It's
difficult.
It's crazy,
to do.
right?
Yeah.
It's like it seems like it'd be very hard.
Yeah.
But she.
I mean, of course, I will avoid live animals, but if it's already dead, then I can't really.
Then it's dead. Yeah, you can't do anything about it. What were you talking about?
That is a nice sentiment, though. I guess out of respect.
It's like but no, this is right. It's like I think she just tries to out of respect. Right,
yeah, I can understand.
She doesn't run. She doesn't drive past them. But yeah.
Yeah, so Kanye wise.
Oh yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah.
I like to think that. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, what were you saying?
That's okay. I was gonna just say how the albums stack up to me. I haven't heard all of them. And when I say that, I mean I haven't listened to Late Registration or Graduation because I was introduced to Kanye through New Kanye. The post-dark fantasy era.
Post-structuralist Kanye.
Yeah, and...
Foucault Kanye.
Yeah. And because of that, and just because, like, I got into hip-hop way, like, late in the game, I feel like, to the point where, like, if I try to revisit, like, Bling era stuff, it's really hard for me. Like,
that's a fair point.
I can't stand that style of instrumentals. Like that Jay-Z Hard Knock Life style, where it's like the really like kind of uplifting almost. It's like
you sample Annie.
Yeah, it's kind of cheesy. Yeah, I don't really like that.
I will note that beat was made by a producer in New York called the 45 King, and he only makes beats from 45 records. And he made that beat, and Jay-Z like lost his asshole. No,
I know that's like a hugely like career-defining song for him.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. No, I don't. I think I just wanted to. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
He makes a sample for 40.
No, sorry, that is cool.
But I totally.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
So that's why it's like I feel like I wouldn't, even if I tried to listen to those albums, I wouldn't like it.
Yeah. You should,
especially just the cover of Graduation, just scares me, intimidates me.
That's a terrifying.
Because from what I've read about it, from what I've heard about it, there are a lot of songs where he tries to fuse his style of rap with like the prevailing pop trends at the time, which is where like that was what 2008.
Yeah,
that was when EDM was about to like come into the fold and like get really big. So there was a song that he did with Chris Martin of Coldplay and like stuff like that. And it's like, could that really be good?
Okay,
I don't know.
I agree with you on that. But Late Registration, I think, is a must listen.
I know it's one of his like
very good
most
album.
acclaimed. Yeah,
that's a
no.
Good one.
I will get around to it.
But that's no. I don't. I mean,
yeah. I listened to The College Dropout for the first time a few months ago.
Yeah,
and it's good. And there are some really great songs on it. Like I think Jesus Walks is really awesome, and I can't remember the titles.
And others. Yeah, I don't really.
But that's a good one. I think All Falls Down was an instrumental that it took a while for me to get into that.
Oh, that's right.
With that acoustic guitar, it was like, like a little too much. But I mean, it's all things considered, it's a good track.
It's a good song.
But yeah, it still didn't like. I feel like the stuff that he does now is so much, or has done like in the past decade, has been so much more interesting. Even if it has been like kind of risky and all over the place.
Well, see, that's right. It's like the idea that you make an album like Yeezy, like Yeezus, and you would end it with Down to, and put those songs in that particular order. Yeah, it is. It's like it's a fascinating exploration into like album layout and like sound and song structure. Yeah,
I think Yeezus is probably in the top half for me as far as like best to worst.
Oh, yeah. What's your favorite?
Probably still Dark Twisted Fantasy.
That's a fantastic record.
Just because of its
Very, very,
cultural
very
impact,
good.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That record like shook
Yeah.
the. Oh my god.
That was one of the first
So many-
rap albums
such
I
good
ever
songs.
like gave a full chance.
Mm.
Because when I was a 16-year-old Tumblr kid, I made a post and I was like, guys, is rap good? I want to listen to it, but I don't know if I would like it. And
Yeah.
people are like, listen to this, this, and this. So I listened to that, and I listened to Goblin by Tyler, the Creator. Not a great
Okay.
choice, like, now,
Yeah.
but at the time, it was a really big album.
Yeah.
So,
And eventually,
especially
it
for a
did-
kid like me who was kind of like an indie rock guy,
Yeah.
it was an easy
Seems
gateway.
fitting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because there were a lot of people in that kind of sphere
Those
who
spheres.
liked Tyler, the Creator. So
Yeah.
he was an interesting kind of bridge between those
the two
spheres.
communities.
Yeah.
What was the third one?
I don't know. I think it's just those two, and I just said three just for the sake
Oh,
of
gotcha.
it.
Have you seen Thundercats What's in My Bag video?
Probably.
He's talking about, he's like,
I've seen a lot of those.
there are some really good ones. He's talking about how he got Goblin on vinyl. And they were like, why'd you do that? And he was like, I got Goblin on vinyl. He's like, what reason is there? Like, I just got Goblin on vinyl. He's like, it's Goblin on vinyl. I was like, fucking damn it, dude.
That's all you need to say.
Shut the fuck up. He's like, nothing else to say here, just Goblin on vinyl.
I will say when I first heard it as a teen, I was like, this is so cool. I love the beats, man. Nowadays it's not as impressive. I still like the kind of ethos of him being like, I'm just gonna fucking
fuck school.
I'm just gonna like plunk on a Casio keyboard and
with the fuck rules. Yeah, right.
yeah. Yeah, some of the like Radicals is kind of a juvenile song.
That's true.
But yeah, again, it was a good entry point for me, I think, and I really like that album cover still.
It is. It's a good album cover. He does have some
Kind of
good.
spooky.
They do some. I mean, some of the Gulf the Floor stuff is really good, and like some of his, and like I think SFFB is fantastic. And
SFFB?
Scumfuck Flower.
Yeah. That was
very good.
Yeah,
Did you
it's
like
his
that?
best one. Yeah.
Oh, I agree. So good.
That was. I mean, I said this in my review and on videos and stuff. That was like the final. Like, there were a lot of fans of him, myself included, that were like, he's good, but he hasn't made that great artistic statement yet. He's so close, and we see the potential so closely. Like, I really wanted to love Wolf to that degree.
Yeah, but
it was just so close, but it didn't quite get there. And then Flower Boy like smashed that.
It hit it. Yeah.
It hit that nail right on the head.
Amazing
so I was like,
record.
yeah, that's finally like where he.
Such matured songwriting.
Yeah.
And like, really, like even matured coming from someone whose like artistic statement was for a very long period of time, like total immaturity. Like,
Exactly. No,
yeah,
that was the
still
thing. Like, if
mature.
you had told someone the year Goblin came out that he was going to come out with Flower Boy in 6 years, would have laughed in your face.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Because
true.
because it's such a new leaf turning.
It's ridiculous
Yeah.
compared to his old shit. Yeah.
So,
God. And you?
Yeah.
Whose solo career do you like the most from an Odd Future member?
from Odd Future, it was super shoddy. I mean, I guess probably Tyler is the most interesting to me. And I mean, of course, there's Frank Ocean, but he had one album while under Odd Future, and then he became his own thing.
Did his own, yeah.
Yeah, we've already had that discussion.
That's true. We've already had that discussion. We had it in the Sonic parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good discussion.
Yeah, it was fun. If only we could hear it
That's true.
today.
If only he was still with us. But alas. We burned the tapes to the Frank Ocean interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, we tossed them.
KLF style.
Yeah, just straight down. Just no remorse. Sometimes you have to let fire intervene at times when God is insufficient. That's all I'm gonna say about that one.
All right.
I got one on vinyl. What the fuck is this fucking thing? It's just like a little mister.
This pole. Yeah. Well, I guess, but like, I've tried walking in it as it was misting, and you don't feel the mist.
Get anything. The record should note that I'm referring to a very tall cylindrical object.
Yeah, we're on the plinth at UTD right now, and
Yeah.
there's this little, like, it's not a lake, but it's like a
little pond.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a little pond.
I mean, I would say fountain, but it's bigger than a fountain.
I would say bigger than a fountain.
But it's not. It's like a man-made pond.
You could also, I mean, the fountain at UT is like the one with the horse sculpture at the bottom of the.
Oh yeah, okay. I guess
like
you could say that.
I think you could say it's a fountain.
Okay.
That's pretty more accurate.
Yeah,
than a
fountain with a giant
cylinder.
obelisk.
Yeah.
that sprays.
Trying to do the what's the 2001: Space Odyssey?
Oh.
Yeah, that obelisk. America's favorite obelisk.
America's favorite obelisk.
Bring it home today for your kids.
Oh my god, imagine how, like, terrifying that would be if, like, on Christmas Day, there's this huge, you just open it and it's that.
Mom, I already have an obelisk. I got one from the Dark Lord of Earth. He came during Halloween. Make your present and say thank you. I spent a lot of money on this, my sweet son.
Have you seen that movie recently?
No, I know they were showing it in 70 millimeter at an Alamo Draft House in Austin. But have you seen it recently?
I watched it for the first time last year.
Oh, nice. What do you think? Very good.
Kind of groundbreaking.
That's
for a film of
so
that
good.
popular or like that
acclaim,
visibility.
Oh yeah.
Like it was. I mean, was it a
Strange.
blockbuster or like it was big?
I'm curious. Now I'm gonna Google it because I don't totally know.
It's a movie that everyone at least has heard of.
Yeah.
For a movie of that visibility, it's really kind of avant-garde.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Kind of weird.
Unbelievable.
There are a lot of just very.
Oh my god.
Did it bust it?
The budget. I should add, this movie was released in 1968. The budget was between 10 and 12 million.
Mm-hmm.
Like, 10 times that.
Yeah, for the 60s, that is very big.
That's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So much money.
Yeah.
It must have just, really, like, what a great time to make a space movie.
Yeah.
But let alone one that is so fascinatingly obscure about space.
Yeah, but that's the thing about it that I love is.
Oh yeah,
it's not like a sci-fi
it's
movie.
a virtue. It's like
It's more of like
cultural,
really philosophical.
Yeah.
And like,
it is.
It's less about space and more about like life.
Yeah, human interaction. And his cinematography is so well suited for a movie like that. I particularly
I love his stuff.
like some of the shots where a commander is arguing with Hal to open the pod bay doors, and it's like you see these still shots of like glass cases with like equipment.
I love that there's not
silent.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh my God, it's so
It's
good.
it's like
It's chilling.
it's the not the legend. What's the word? The
OG.
tradition that Wes Anderson carries to this day.
Oh yeah.
There's not a lot of camera movement, and if there is, it's on a dolly, and there's a lot of still symmetrical shots.
Yeah. It's true, they do share those characteristics. I didn't think about that.
I'm tired of just the really common blockbuster film like visual style where it's just like generally, I don't know, what would you consider like a regular film to look like? There's a lot of handheld shots.
Infinity War?
Yeah, stuff like that. It's like it's like so boring that I can't even remember like what to say about it. But that's why I love
that it's a movie and people spent money to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's movies like that where the camera work itself is so striking that it's what you remember.
Right. Over the dialogue. It's true.
It's so cool.
Have you seen Eyes Wide Shut?
No.
No. That's a good one. Also, that was Kubrick's, I think, last movie.
Oh, it's by him too? Okay, yeah.
He died in the Early 90s, and that one was in...
I haven't seen most of his
88.
stuff. He's one of those directors I have to catch up with.
Gotta
I'm very
yeah.
filmly illiterate.
I feel that.
I need to watch more movies.
Yeah.
I've seen 2001 and The Shining, and those are two of my favorites.
Very good movies. Yeah.
But I still need to see A Clockwork Orange and all the other ones.
He does have some really... It's like... And there are certainly some that you can go without seeing, but like... The idea is like if you like one, then you're going to like the others enough to the point where your experience with his work will feel insufficient.
Yeah.
Or rather will feel incomplete if you don't watch the other ones. Because he does, I mean, it's like The Shining complements Eyes Wide Shut, which complements, like, 2001, which complements Doctor Strangelove, which complements Lolita, which complements...
Oh, yeah, Lolita, too. Yeah.
He's done a lot of really, you don't know where he places him, but...
Yeah.
Eyes Wide Shut was really, that was Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. And it was like a weird, like, orgy, like, sex thing. Yeah.
Really? That's what it's about? Oh, that's cool.
Weird orgy sex thing. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ready to see Tom Cruise in a setting like that.
It's an interesting... and his character in particular has a very interesting dynamic in the greater scope of the movie, like, as does Nicole Kidman's character. It's just like... I think he just really wanted to... Like, he felt like he had garnered enough clout tickets that he could just make a movie about people...
Tickets.
He could just make a 3.5-hour movie about people fucking.
Yeah.
And no one would bat an eye. That's what he did. He was like, alright, sure.
That's what Lars von Trier did.
That's true. And people fucking freaked out. Holy shit.
People still do.
I've never met people who are like as weak around anything as critics are around Lars von Trier's films. It's like his last one, they were just like, I can't do it. Like, shut up.
Well, I will say that
it was pretty serious.
What they have said about his latest movie does seem like a bit too far.
Right.
Because it's like literally very methodically showing on-screen murder.
It's true. But it's very scary, yeah. It's true. But it's like, I mean, if you're going to be a film critic, in the same way that like Anthony Bourdain didn't go to, to Brazil and eat like liquefied cow's foot and say like, oh, this is gross. Like, he was like, yeah, this is good. I see the value to it and why people would eat it like en masse, A film critic sees a movie like that and goes, yeah, it's just like, I get why people like his movies, why he's popular.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to see that newest one, but he's a horrible person.
Did he do some bad shit?
Oh yeah. Oh,
really?
Plenty of bad shit.
What?
The movie he did with Bjork.
The deeds?
You know, the Dancer in the Dark?
Oh yeah.
The movie he did with Bjork.
Yes, yeah.
She opened up about him like being weird with her on set.
Oh fuck, that's awful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. On second thought, I'd take back what he said about the.
Yeah.
People can. Oh my god.
Yeah, he's not. He's a creepy dude.
Wow.
Deeply troubled, which is why his movies are so kind of eye opening. Is because of like a lot of them have to do with his own mental illness. But sometimes they can go too far.
They can go too
really
far.
Hard to watch.
Yeah, where you're like putting Bjork in an uncomfortable.
Yes.
You ever seen
Have you seen Antichrist?
No.
It's
on my
absolutely
list.
Abhorrent.
Oof.
Like not from like a film standpoint, but just like what you see is like really hard to watch. Like there's
deliberate
you
shots
see
of
stuff going through people's legs, and like there's a really graphic scene that I won't espouse for our listeners, but it's very vile.
Oh. You ever seen Happiness in Slavery, the music video for Nine Inch Nails?
No. Is it like the third time you've mentioned?
Yeah, I think it is.
Have you seen this Nine Inch Nails music video?
Yeah. I just know you're talking about like it seems to make its way.
Are you in an IN phase right now?
That's true. I it's like no, but like perhaps subconsciously.
Kinda, yeah.
I don't know. But it's like there's just a lot of deliberate,
He had that new album come out.
Did he?
Yeah, he had a new album come out. It was like supposed to be the third EP in a series of EPs that he had started like
Jesus.
a year ago, but he
Fucking
like
Trailblazer.
it kind of he made
Of course
like
did.
it turned into an album because there was just so much he wanted to put on it.
Right.
Jesus
fucking Christ.
He's another one who I haven't listened to enough of.
He does have some. They have some hits here and there, but like a lot of it, is way too much like.
I'll get there.
Yeah.
I have Downward Spiral on cassette.
Oh yeah.
And I've never played it.
You can go on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can put the cassette recording on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. I have the player. I have a deck. I just don't use it.
But you should put on YouTube instead.
I should what? Put what on YouTube?
The cassette.
Just like a video of it?
Yeah, you like rip it. Yeah. Right.
Rip it.
Take
and
a
put it on YouTube.
Take a video of it and then put that on YouTube. Yeah. Or you could take a photo of it, use that as the background for your cassette recording.
Yeah.
A rip of the downward spiral
Yeah.
on cassette, and then put that video on YouTube.
Okay. I will do that.
A note to our listeners.
The obelisk has been
awakened. Fuck Lars von Trier. I don't give a shit what critics say that's bad about his movies. They can say whatever because he sounds like a terrible guy. So I take back everything I said.
It's one of those hard things for me to reckon with. It's
Yeah.
like the feelings I have for him and his art is like the current day Kanye fan.
Compromising the art.
Whereas like he's a horrible person, but some of the movies that he's made are some of my favorites.
Some of your favorite movies.
Antichrist is not one of them.
Right.
Melancholia is.
Oh.
Because it's like it takes the emotions that are displayed visually in Antichrist with the really gory stuff,
Yeah.
and it makes it more cerebral in Melancholia because it's just more about a person with extreme depression.
Yeah.
So
It fits within his.
and I won't lie and say that Kirsten Dunst is part of why I love that movie so much. And
Good
then, yeah,
actress.
again, and then of course the 3-hour sex movie, Nymphomaniac,
that's
is also.
true.
It is.
Forget about that
It is
one.
very, like,
God.
hard to watch.
What is it? Is that like a beetle?
I think it's a June bug.
Oh, it's a June bug. You're right. It is a June bug.
Your time is over. It's July.
True. It's July. Get the hell out of here, you fucking asshole. Fucking asswipe. Shit bag. Shit. Shall we talk about the record now?
Before we do. Yes, we will get to it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. Whatever you
I
want.
no, that reminded me that the year is half over. How do you feel about that?
Oh my god, the year is half over. What in the fuck?
I know.
Dude, I don't like...
I always get to this point in the year and I'm like, there's no way. There's been 6 months already.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah, gotta say, another bad one in the books.
Another bad one?
Yeah.
This one sucks too.
You know, on the cover of Dookie, there's that blimp that says, like, another bad year, like 1996.
Yeah, something like that.
I think it's a lot more romantic to frame each year as a bad year rather than a good year. You just
Really?
say, like, this year's been a bad year. I hope it gets worse, you know? Like, or, you know, I hope
we
next
finally
year's
die
even
this
worse.
time.
Yeah, I hope we finally crash into the boulder.
Yeah.
Floating in the neocosms of space and disintegrate into millions of bites of existence.
Mhm.
Yeah, call it quits.
So.
Tap out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What about you? How are you feeling? Halfway through.
I mean, yeah, culturally it has sucked. For me personally, it's been okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of neutral on it. What are your album
Good
picks
point.
so far of this year?
Ooh.
I think we should do a little bit of that.
That's a good point. Yeah, we could go ahead and give those. I have such a hard on.
You don't
for
keep a
arcade
list, do you?
What's that?
You don't keep a list, do you?
No, I don't. You do, and you have a really good list.
I mean, it's so hard not to.
That's a good point.
I love making lists of
Yeah.
just everything, so.
Well, and especially a thing that you
Yeah.
hold near and dear. Yeah.
Yeah, it is something I care about very deeply.
You think making the list, like, it must really help organize your opinions and your thoughts when you're discussing these things with others. Yeah,
because when I make a list, I'm essentially pitting albums against each other and saying which one I like more. So it gives me an interesting frame of reference to tell
compare them.
What music do I gravitate toward more?
Well, but does it not ever feel like a time capsule thing, and that you make it and you just don't really ever it's just on your notes, you don't ever really move back to it, but you make it and occasionally.
Well, my list.
Or is it a dynamic thing?
Take the opposite.
That you really.
I change it every day. I look at it almost every day, and I kind of rearrange them as I feel my feelings. They always change, so I'll look at the list again the next day and be like, well, I feel like maybe this album should be a little bit lower, or maybe I wasn't thinking about this album as much, so I maybe want to put it up a little bit. Yeah, and looking at that list every day and changing it all the time pushes me to come back to albums that I may have been skeptical about at first.
Yeah.
Which I think is good because it gives me a chance to give all the albums a fair shot.
That's a fair point.
So
yeah, you get an unquestionably comprehensive view.
Yeah.
On the
and that's the other thing about it is just a catalog
it's everything.
To make sure it's a
tick off all
definite list of everything that I've listened to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I get that.
So
it's nice.
Yeah.
What are a couple of your favorites?
What's in my top 10 right now?
Yeah.
Or top 15-ish because they.
Would you want to just read some of them? I'm curious.
Yeah.
Or this would, I guess.
I'll show you them, but I'm not going to tell the listeners the placement. I will just name the albums as they are.
That works.
So this is my list right now. So it's this spot right here from 8 to 15. These spots are always changing around because it feels really bad to have an album just squeeze out of the top 10, and I really want it to be in the top 10, so I keep shuffling these around.
Yeah, I get that.
But yeah, these I would say these three are kind of pitting or duking it out against each other. Beach House is 7, Janelle Monáe's Dirty Computer in the Gardens, Mirror My Steal Your Tremor, all kind of battling it out, seeing which one's going to make it out the top. Those are probably my 3 favorites right now.
These are good ones.
But then some of these that I listen to, Sophie's album, the Parquet Courts album, the Jean Grey and Quelle Chris album, I listen to those and I'm like, fuck, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah, right.
And then I move it to 1 for just a little bit, and then I'm like, well, wait.
What am I talking about? Yeah, right.
Because they're just so great,
yeah,
but I mean, I don't know if...
Those are all really good records.
Yeah.
Shit, I was just listening to the Parquet Courts record earlier today, and this is just...
Yeah, it started out down here, and then the more I listened to it, it just climbed up more and more and more.
Higher and higher.
Yeah. What do you think about this pick? This is very surprising.
Which one?
This one, Post Malone.
Ooh, I haven't listened to it. You said, does Ellie like Post Malone?
Yeah.
Yeah?
And it's because of me, because we both were
the boy's an influencer.
We were I don't like trap music.
Yeah.
I don't like pop rap.
Right.
It's kind of gross.
And you both tested your limits.
And then I listened to Post Malone.
With the man
hang on.
Who hasn't had a glass of water in 15 years.
Yeah.
Let alone taking a shower.
Yeah. I'll be honest, it was the Needle Drops review of Post Malone's album.
Influenced your placement.
Yeah. He influenced me to listen to it, because originally I was just going to skip over it, this doesn't worth my time.
He gave it a good review, didn't he?
Yeah, he liked it a decent bit. He didn't like it as much as I came to, but he caused me to be okay, maybe I should
reconsider
try it.
He does have some. I mean, he has a couple good, and it's there's no way to say that White Iverson doesn't get stuck in your head, and he hasn't had hits, but there are things about
that's the thing is, past his last album I don't think is very good at all, and I think he's kind of with this new album he's kind of made his own sound within this little trap bubble, which is he's not really a rapper, he's just a singer, and he's a singer-songwriter, but he's fitting that within the trap mold.
Yeah.
A lot of the songs that are on the album could easily be just like acoustic numbers, but he puts them he puts them on this trap backdrop, and it actually works really well, and I think it's really cool.
Nice.
And his voice has really improved. I think he's got a really cool voice.
So,
but yeah, he's a gross-looking dude.
Well, so then yeah, okay. So you would say he's like, does he stand 50-50 between rapper and singer, or is it like 60-40?
Oh no, I don't think he raps really at all.
That's a good point. He doesn't really rap at all.
I mean, like,
he's mostly a singer.
He has like flow like a rapper, but it's always
singing.
It always has a melody to it.
Yeah.
It's not just talking, you know.
Is that is melodic rap a thing?
I mean, yeah. There's like the auto crooner.
Yeah, it's
tag,
okay. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Which is like you're a rapper, but also you're making sure your voice sounds melodic.
Right.
I don't know.
It's like the race rumor shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Black Beatles
or like Young Lean. Yeah. So yeah, I've come to be more optimistic about pop trap
music
being good, and some of it is good.
That's ultimately, if you define his music as anything, it better include the words pop and like popular or popular
and popular.
Pop and popular.
It's popular
both.
pop.
Yeah. I mean, that man is like, oh my god, that man is so popular.
Yeah.
He is so big right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he makes so much money. I think he literally has the number one most, the highest number of monthly listeners of any artist on Spotify. I think he's beaten like Rihanna and Drake and shit. I think he's like very high up there.
I have a hard time believing that, especially because Drake just came out with his new album.
I heard that one was not very good.
It isn't. It's awful.
No. Oh, it's awful.
I mean, it's not like absolutely disgusting to listen to.
Nothing to.
But it's just boring.
Okay, that's fair. That's fitting.
And it's 90 minutes long. It's 2 discs of Drake.
Ugh,
it's just
odd.
He doesn't have that much to say.
Why'd you?
His production is just.
Me on Instagram?
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
Follow me on Instagram.
Yeah. I respect his throne that he has built for himself. He was a pioneer early on, but
no, he's not.
Ever since, if you're reading this, ever since Hotline Bling, he immediately
plummeted.
Yeah, because of views. It was just terrible.
Yeah, I didn't like views either.
And he hasn't really, especially with Mr. Push putting him in his place.
Jesus.
He hasn't really been able to. Mr. Push.
Yeah.
Sir Pushard T.
Pushard
T. I just made that up.
My favorite hot dog condiment is Pushard.
Pushard?
Excuse me, garçon. Mind adding a little extra Pushard to my burger? What? You know Pushard. Don't act like you haven't heard of it. Chop, alright? Get to it. I need that Pushard stat. I need the taste of that Pushard in my mouth.
Oh my god, that's getting weird.
What's, so, how'd you feel about Sex and Food on No Mortal Orchestra?
I generally, yes, I like it.
Yeah.
I don't prioritize it that much over other albums that came out this year, and of course I love his first 3 albums, so it's kind of really hard for it to come toe to toe with those.
Do you remember the first time you heard Funny Friends and it was like,
yeah,
wow, I didn't know people could make music like this. Yeah,
I was like, wait, this came out now?
Way. Yeah,
but it sounds like it's old.
Yeah, right. No. That's his trick.
Yeah. That was my experience with Best Coast.
Oh yeah.
When I first heard that album, I was like, "Wait, this sounds like it was made in the '60s."
It's
but it's now.
Best Coast early shit literally sounds like, it sounds like there's this compilation of Cambodian rock stars from the '60s, all of whom are like definitely dead. They were all executed.
Yeah.
But it's like terrifyingly good rock music, and it's like, I mean, they're dead, so it's like there's an extra element to it of like, Jesus Christ, like, you know, this is like serious pounding rock, but like, yeah.
But these people died also.
Best Coast sounds their early shit sounds like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Oh, okay.
How much does what?
How much of a role does Bob Bruno play in their songwriting? Do you know? Or is it only...
Less and less
Bethany?
as the albums draw on.
Right, okay.
I'm guessing. I think it's more she writes the songs and then he just like helps flesh them out into sounding like he does production basically, I guess.
He does like all the back end stuff.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he played drums and bass and extra stuff on that first album, and she played the guitar, and that was pretty much.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was the way things went.
Yeah. And at this point, he's basically just a touring member.
It's true. He pulls out his Stratocaster.
Yeah.
Plays those.
I was gonna
chords,
listen to that
goes
Kids
bed,
album
right?
that they did that just came out, but it's Amazon only.
What?
It was released in conjunction with Amazon Music.
What is? Oh my god.
And now it makes me feel way worse.
What?
About it.
Yeah, I don't blame. Oh my god. Anyone at this point in time that gives Jeff Bezos money,
Yeah.
God, that dude makes like $500K every minute.
Mm-hmm.
There's that legend.
I don't like thinking about that. It's
I
really
know,
hard.
right? There's that legend that's like, Bill Gates like wastes more time, would lose more money if he stopped to pick up $100 bill than if he just kept walking or some shit like that, because his salary, is already like. And I mean, there are some logistics to that, like you don't stop making money if you've been.
But at least the Gates family are like
bill while you're on
constantly
the clock.
giving
It's
to
true.
charity.
What does Jeff Bezos do? Nothing.
He bees bald. He walks baldly.
He bees bald.
Well, I'd say he is bald, but that doesn't sound like
Poor
an active
man.
verb,
Damn, that's sad. Alexa, play modern baseball.
You never heard the use of bees as a verb?
I can't say I have.
That's a Homestar joke right there.
Bees bald. Oh, that's true.
When you want
to
say is, but you want it to sound like something that someone is doing,
yeah,
then you say
bees. Yeah.
So yes, Jeff Bezos is bald, but that doesn't convey that
he's
he is currently
fighting
being
against
bald.
the plight of baldness.
Yeah, so what is he doing?
He's being bald.
He is being bald.
Yeah.
So currently Jeff Bezos bees bald.
Bees bald. Yeah. God.
I know, I love how it sounds. It's so funny.
And it's just the idea that, like, being bald is like equivalent to like
It's an
millions
uphill
of
battle.
dollars in
Yeah.
philanthropic donations. Like giving money to, providing like a water source to a small village in Africa equals like alopecia on your on the back right corner of your skin.
Ew. Oh, great. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I already told you I'm making my Vine compilation right now.
Oh yeah, how's that coming?
I'm about 5.5 minutes in.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
Which is a decent amount of vines.
It is.
I just went through picking out my favorite Nick Coletti vines.
Ooh.
And one of my favorites is when he goes, "Kids, I'm sorry, we have no money left. Just kidding."
He's been, oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
He's like truly like a sociopath, that man. He made vines too well.
He made them, and he made so many of
He
them.
made so many vines. Yeah.
His compilation is 3 hours long.
What the fuck, dude? How does that guy? Oh god.
He was one of those. There were a few Viners who they would just constantly film all the time, and just bits would just come out of
Keep
them
going.
naturally.
Yeah.
And he was one of those. He would just be
It's
outside, just fucking around with something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that would be like a viral vine, yeah.
Mhm.
Or like, Grandma, let me suck your dick. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hot.
Do you like Halo 2? Yeah, I mean, yo, we should fuck. Yeah, I mean, okay. Again, just there's no. The comedic value in that is just that it got made.
Yeah, right. And that a dude like Nick Coletti, a dude with like the outline of a pony on his chest, a dude that he looks like he always looks like he's been stung by a bee before he makes a vine.
Yeah. Oh my god, his lips.
His lips. Look at the top of his head. Look at his lips.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I think so.
Where it's like a guy who's preparing to look at an image of Pepe the Frog, and he's like going through.
Oh my God! Yeah.
He's like, oh no, oh, ah! And he like starts laughing. It's really. Hey, hot take. Can I lay one on you?
Yeah, lay it.
I think it's bordering on inhumane to own a husky in Texas.
Because of the temperature?
Yeah. It's like, I mean, you have to understand that like animals have sensory receptors that are like just as sensitive, if not more.
That is a hot take, and I can see the merit in that take.
It's like I wouldn't.
I mean, they're so cute, but yeah, in Texas, really,
it's not. I mean, and that's.
I hope they're not like right behind the wall,
true,
just
they might be,
listening.
like, right over there. Yeah. I would say bordering on also because there are ways in which you can handle a problem like that.
Yeah.
If you have enough money to get a husky, to get a purebred husky,
You probably have enough money
Texas,
to take care of them well.
Yeah, or send it to Nova Scotia for the summer or something. I don't know. Train it to musk, like you could do. I mean, train it to musk. That's what I said. Train it to learn how
Train
to
it
make.
to drive a Tesla.
Yeah, right. To make transportation pathways to fucking Mars.
I was just talking about that over lunch with my family. My dad loves Tesla.
Oh yeah.
Not because of like him, of the guy, but because of like the innovations that they're making and environmentally friendly stuff.
Mm.
And they were talking about they're working on like a public transportation system that's just like this one big tube from major city to major city, and it's like all based on like magnetic.
Yeah.
So there's no friction.
Right.
So it's really quick.
Yeah.
And my mom was just like, but there would be a tube in the middle of the country that would ruin the whole like vista or whatever. Like,
that would fuck someone's plan.
And I'm like, Mom, do you get upset when you see railroad tracks? And she's like, well, no. But this is a tube.
It's true.
Anyway,
I think it's a good. I mean, you're right, and it's the idea that like that shit would be like all the way under the fucking country for a very long period, like a very great distance. Like, no, that's oh my God, it's such a cute dog.
Yeah, it is.
I just want to steal it.
I just hope
and drive it back to Nova Scotia. Yeah, really. It's like because it's not too bad now, but like, yeah, dude. I went to Alaska and we got to interact with some like Iditarod dogs, and they were like, these dogs optimally live at negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Like that's when they can like, that's when their like body temperature could be best maintained.
That's my dream temp.
Right?
I would love to live just in a freezer.
And make ambient music?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I live in Barrow, Alaska. I make dark chill wave every day for 16 hours. I don't sleep a lot.
Oh, wait till 2 weeks from now.
There you go. Wait till 2 weeks from now.
Okay, so tell me, before we go into the journey, do you have albums that you've picked, or that you think are your favorites?
So I really liked, you put that down on yours, and I agree with you in that it's a great record. I think the Kali Uchis record is really high up there.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I haven't given it enough playtime as I need to.
So, right, no, I feel that.
When it came out, I listened to it a lot, but
she's very talented.
It's a cool, fun
It
listen.
is. It's just
very eclectic.
It's so well done and very eclectic.
Yeah, there's a lot of different styles.
Especially thanks due to another artist whose record I've really liked in the past couple of years, Steve Lacy. His EP, amazing. Oh my God, like
very cool guy.
Steve Lacy takes everything that is good about the seventh chord craze.
Yeah.
Bands like Bane's World and Mac DeMarco and Claro and and he takes everything that's good about that craze and congeals it all into this ball that's just like so well bound with an artistic and creative integrity, unlike many other artists currently
do you like
active.
Do you like the Internet? The band?
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
I haven't listened to a lot of them.
They just put out that new...
Yeah, they had a song that came out recently.
Cool. Yeah. Burbank Funk, right? Something like that. Yeah.
I think Sid's a good vocalist.
Sid is a good vocalist. And they're talented. I think they mesh really well. Matt Parsons is a great producer.
Oh, yeah, no. Matt Martian's had an album that came out last year that I really liked.
He's very good.
Yeah.
He's super talented. They all are really. But Steve Lacy's so... God,
He's a great player.
When he put out that EP, and it was like really like, I mean, not very well known. That thing blew the fuck
It
up.
got a little bit more visibility because he did 911 with Tyler.
That's right. Yeah, that's true. People kind of knew him from there.
Yeah.
And he was in the internet, and so he would have eventually gone to, but like, yeah, that EP was fantastic. So good.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Some really good songs on that.
So Isolation.
Yeah.
Good pick.
Isolation. Definitely the Parquet Courts record. Definitely. Sex and Food is on there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I really liked, you had that Ski Mask record also done.
Yeah, Compro. That was really cool.
I remember it was the first day we did this show.
I was listening to it,
Yeah, and it was like, I remember I got in your car and I was like, hey, I read about that record too. Yeah.
It's really great.
So I think we both caught that same pitchfork, right? Yeah, and it's a very good record.
I'm just a sucker for...
unlike anything else I've heard before.
I'm just a sucker for breakbeat and techno.
That's true. And the cover, like that.
Soundscapes.
What a good sleeve.
Yeah.
Got a great cover.
It's like the Boards of Canada Tomorrow's Harvest cover, but in the winter.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. It's like
So
exact.
cool.
It's a very good comparison. Yeah.
I love it when electronic artists attempt to capture like the idea of like a barren wasteland.
It's an interesting,
because like there's a lot of stuff that you can do with that as much as it may seem like you can't, because it's like just like vast
nothingness.
Like there's a lot that can happen within that space.
Oh, no,
It's
you're
really
right.
cool.
And it's definitely, people like Boards of Canada and Aphex Twin and Venetian Snares have done things like that, and really well at that. Yeah, I agree.
Those are good picks.
Thank you.
Like those picks.
Most of them are just from your list, which I think is a very good list.
Well, I mean, we've listened to the same stuff, I think.
That's a
for
good
the
point
most
too.
part.
But I think you picked good records that came out this year to
I
put
just
on
hope
your
that they,
best of list. They don't fuck with you anymore.
Yeah, I hope that they stay up there. I don't know what's going to come out this next...
That's another
Did you
good
hear
point.
there's going to be a new spiritualized album?
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and it's slated to be the last one.
Ooh.
Final record.
Holy shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
How many records have they put out? Too many to count.
Well, hang on. No, I mean, Laser Guided Melodies, Ladies and Gentlemen, Sweetheart, Sweet Light, Amazing Grace, Let Me Down, something. And then there's like one more. So like 6 or 7.
6 or 7.
It's a decent run.
It was a decent run. Yeah. That's it.
Anyway. Okay, do you want to go? Sorry I prolonged that so
you're
long.
good.
You want to talk about...
That was a good chat.
Yeah.
I'm happy to. I like talking about whatever, whenever.
Me too. Whenever,
Continue,
whoever.
please. Yeah. Oh, you want to do the second intro now?
Okay.
There we go. Ready?
Give me the can.
Oh yeah.
I want that to be a part of it.
Good idea. Here we go. I think it's you. You can spin it over if you want to.
Oh shit.
There might be some left. Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay.
I didn't.
I was just trying to make crunching
I'm never a
sounds
full
with it.
drinker. I can never get all the way to the bottom of a can.
Okay, go.
Read a book.
Read a book.
Hell yes. Oh,
Have you ever
so sick.
done one of those?
No, have you?
No, I don't want to.
Ooh, I
It's
don't
really
want to
scary.
either. I legitimately feel like if I did it at the wrong angle, I would like cut into my.
Yeah, I would just cut my head open.
That would hurt. That would really fucking suck. Holy shit! What a damn! You try and get up to this pompous jackass jester move where you pop a can into your forehead and you end up ripping open your skin. In the most like,
what a backfire that would be.
and the blood.
Look
just
how funny I
goes
am.
down like a shower. Yeah, dude. I was playing a gig with this cover band, and
Covering what?
Ooh, we were covering a lot. It was not like a one. It was like a several artist cover band.
Oh, okay.
We had like a pretty big, but that's a good. We covered a really wide array of artists. That's why I say
That's
it,
cool.
because it was like a lot to.
Just a general cover
It was
band.
a general cover band. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I was in a general cover band,
Okay.
and we were playing a gig at a frat party, and it was at this event where the college, like, it's like a whole day of just like drinking and like various festivities. It's like a 2-day thing. It's a weekend, but they have cops around because like the cops know that there's gonna be like regular drinking.
Sure.
And I wore this pair of white overalls to our show,
Okay.
and I forgot something in my dorm room. So I had a beer, had it on me, and I saw a cop like alongside the path I was on. I grabbed the beer, I drank a little bit, and I saw the cop, so I shoved the can into the like pocket of my overalls, because fortunately I had clothes that had, they were just replete with pockets.
Okay.
And I cut my thumb like a quarter of an inch gash open on the lip of the
quarter
can.
inch into your thumb?
My thumb.
Oh.
Yeah, I just pushed the can in, and then I pulled it out. It was just like soaked in blood.
Oh my
I was
God.
like, that doesn't look good.
Oh, I can feel it. Like, as you say that, oh man.
Yeah, sorry. But
That's
that's
okay.
yeah. The can was.
Oh wow.
But I was serious. Tail of the can.
Wow. That sucks. Well, at least you didn't get copped.
That's true.
Like,
So
the cop didn't get you.
The cop didn't get me. At least I didn't get copped. Yeah. That's the cop version of cucked. That was the most 4chan thing I've ever said in my life. God, I hope I never
That's
say it
okay.
again. Thank you for forgiving me.
You're welcome. It's okay. Cuck, it's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. Yeah.
Cuck is mainstream culture now.
Cuck is mainstream culture now.
And we have to accept that.
And it's sad to think that there are people who are very old and will never know what that word means. But it is in mainstream vernacular. It is a component of the red and white bloodstreams of this country
Red and white
and its citizens. That is the ventricles and the aorta that make up the heart of the United States.
It's cuckolding.
What a terrible country we live in.
Oh God. Sick. Hate it.
It's a sick burn.
I was trying to say, like, I wanted to say Happy 4th of July, but happy replaced with a negative word.
Yeah,
So it
bad
was
4th of July.
terrible 4th of July to you,
terrible
sir.
4th of July to you, sir.
Sickly. I think that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, right.
Sickening Independence Day.
Terrible 4th of July. Yeah, right. Sickening Independence Day.
Happy continent robbery day.
That is. It's like we've turned happy in that phrase into like a verb. So you're like, like Happy Independence Day. It's not a verb.
Well, it's essentially the have-a is understood. Have a happy blank.
Well, that's true. You're right. That's the only. Yeah, that is the only reasonable explanation for analyzing the structure of that phrase. Yeah, good point.
That's why using a regular adjective like terrible
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't sound right when you say terrible 4th of July.
You say happy.
Wait, no. Yeah.
You're right.
It's because happy's been used so much.
No, that's a good point. You're right. Very true.
Okay. Let's talk about something that's American.
Is that another husky?
Yeah, but it's smaller and cuter.
Damn it, it's smaller and
No
cuter.
offense to that first husky.
That's true, no offense. Hope it's not listening.
Oh my God.
So cute. Jesus.
Too bad it's probably miserable.
Yeah, it probably is. Why is it so hot outside? Where are you guys taking me? Oh, I want to go. Oh, I guess we're going to go.
So.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay.
It's true. So
this album that we are going to discuss
that's true.
is American, but it is also good. It is not.
Good.
It's not a bad American item.
It is not. Neither is Satchidananda, who is.
Satchidananda?
Is it Dananda or Mananda?
Satchidananda, I think, is what it is.
Yeah, it is. You're right. Dananda.
I knew it was going to be something we talked about. The pronunciation of
That's
that.
true. Yeah, cover those bases early.
There's two white guys talking about a black woman's jazz album that's
That's true.
inspired by Hindi
Spiritual
traditions.
teachings. Yeah. at the plinth at their local college. Yeah. Everything's
I'm so college right now.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt and I were talking about this on the car ride over here, and I think we both agreed that this is like one of the best examples of meditation jazz, which is its own genre in and of itself.
I didn't really consider that tag until you brought it up, because all I had seen is the Wikipedia page, which calls it avant-garde jazz.
That's true, yeah.
Which I guess works.
It's like Swiss Army knife jazz, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, then you find out,
like the term avant-garde jazz is just a very wide net. That could probably include a lot of different things.
Yeah. Could be a lot of different things.
Yeah.
It's a pretty wide net, that's true. And then you specify.
So we haven't even said what it is. This is Alice Coltrane we're talking about.
That's true, yeah.
And her fourth solo album,
yeah.
Journey in Satchidananda.
Yeah. 1968, right? 70?
71.
71.
71.
Yes, right, okay.
I think. Here, let's do the routine Wikipedia pull-up.
Wikipedia reference. Yeah, 1971.
1971. Would you have guessed that it came out in 1971 when you heard it?
Yeah.
I think so.
He doesn't seem old enough to be...
I think the ideas on it sound modern, but the production sounds about
old.
right.
Yeah, right. Sounds a couple decades ago. Yeah, it sounds like it could be like a Brian Blade concert, but like, yeah, but it is. It's in the 70s, and it's.
I think we should mention, because one of the reasons I wanted to bring this album up to you is because I think you've listened to a lot more jazz than I have.
Yeah. I don't know.
Or at least you did. You were very into jazz at one point.
I'd say so.
Because you were in jazz band at high school.
It's true, I was. You know me well.
So what are some of your favorites?
Guilty as charged. You know.
What are yeah.
I love jazz. What can I say?
I've seen you play.
Oh, that's right.
Jazz drums.
Jazz drums.
You do so great.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Likewise. I remember I watched.
Can't play jazz drums at all.
Well, I'm a pretty good jazz drum player. Well, I watched. I remember seeing your arrangement of. What Sufjan Stevens song was it for
Too
Spectacular?
Much?
Yeah. Oh my god, that was amazing. I was in high school.
That's
when I
very
saw
fun
that,
to play.
And I was like,
yeah.
fuck, like, this
I
is
love
so
that
good.
track. It's
And
not a jazz song,
The
though.
arrangement was fantastic. That's a good point. It isn't a jazz song, but it's still very good. I swear to God, I've seen you play jazz drum set before.
When I was in jazz band in middle school, I didn't play the set. I played vibes. I would say I'm much more competent on a melodic instrument for jazz than on a
rhythmic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I just can't. I can't do the standard ride and hi-hat thing while doing other things.
Yeah. Spreading your right.
Yeah.
Keeping yourself occupied.
I'm very used to staying grounded with the kick.
Right. Sure.
As more of a rock basis. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
That's my biggest I mean, I'm sure I could. If I were performing in a jazz band, I could do something that sounded okay, but it wouldn't.
Smash it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Pop it.
Yeah.
But that's true. This is a good jazz record. She's a great jazz harpist, jazz pianist. She does some chord work on the record, and it features
it's like the instrumental
personnel.
Yeah,
features prominently.
Basically a quintet.
At the top, one of the most well-known
you talking about
messengers of free jazz. Yeah, Pharoah
Sanders. He was a soprano saxophone, not alto.
Or tenor. Huh.
There's a plane.
I know he was known for overblowing. That was like a critical component in a definition of his saxophone style.
Something that's become much more accepted, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Because in the bop era, it was kind of...
It was a weird synthesis of technical, technical mischievousness and very ascetic pedagogy, like very like non-indulgent, like adherence to established traditions and customs in jazz.
Mhm.
Yeah, right.
So, on each of these tracks, you're basically hearing, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 musicians, 5 or 6 at once.
Time.
Because there's the drums and the bass,
Always.
and then there's Alice playing either the piano or the harp.
The harp, yeah.
And then there's this person Tulsi playing the tambura, which is the Indian, Middle Eastern instrument, and that's what provides that kind of drone sound.
Yeah.
Tambura. And then there's a lot of auxiliary percussion that's just gently being
Sprinkled
kind
in.
of
Tossed
shooking like throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I wanted to say about this that I think sets this apart from, because when you think of a jazz like group or a jazz setting, you think of like the melodic soloist and the rhythm section.
Yeah.
But I feel like this album has more of what I would call like an atmosphere section than a rhythm section.
Yeah.
Because it's like
I feel that.
you have the saxophonist soloing or Alice soloing on the harp, but then there's like these people, there's the tambura, and then there's like this person like jingling sleigh bells and tambourine, just like kind of gently, just like
overlaid. Yeah.
So and I mean, yeah, there is a rhythmic element, and I think the rhythm pretty much comes from just the bass. I mean, there are drums, but they're very soft.
Yeah.
And at least when I listen to it, I only hear them very prominently when they're like doing a fill.
Yeah.
Which is very like not rhythmic and kind of loose and like shuffly.
Very, yeah.
So, and that's something that definitely makes it more of a meditative jazz experience rather than something that you would like
active, conscious. Yeah.
Yeah, because with most jazz, especially like bop and post bop and modal stuff, it would really like they would ask of the listener, not literally, but like implying that they would want the listener to kind of zero in on all the
working parts.
virtuosity that's happening in the stuff. I don't think there's as much of that here.
I agree.
It's more of just a general kind of, like I said, atmosphere.
Yeah, which I think is definitely reflective of these avant-garde jazz, free jazz works and the ideologies that influence them and their sound. Yeah, it's the idea that every member of an ensemble is equally important.
Yeah.
And and that everyone works together to create this sound that is an attempt at reflecting, teachings and wisdom that Alice picked up from Satchidananda.
Yeah. That's an aspect of it that for me is hard to like grasp fully, because I don't know anything about like what the background is of like her life or what led her to make this kind of music. Because I mean it being a purely instrumental album with all I have to go on as far as knowing that it's inspired by Hinduism and stuff is through articles and
That's
stuff.
true. Yeah.
So I don't really know what makes this like able to speak her actual like learnings. Oh, okay. That was good.
I had to go crack my knuckles.
Okay. That's a good way to put it.
It's true. I'm sorry I interrupted.
That's okay.
Such a disruption.
So yeah, I don't know like
How it really
I'm
is.
sure like I don't like she probably thought of this music in a much different space or like mental capacity that I do.
Yeah.
Because it's like
That's a fair point.
I don't know what I'm trying to say.
So, are you saying that it's like, that it has like a utility to her? Yeah. When in reality, or rather not in reality, but to an unassuming listener.
For me, as someone who is from a completely different generation, from different upbringing and background. And musical listening background even. There's not really any way I can consume this other than for its pure aesthetic purposes and not for any of its like context.
Right. Would you say that after listening to it, because I'm guilty of this, but after listening to it, I Googled meditation for dummies, thought about it, But have you thought about giving this record a listen in a meditative context, or even further pursuing Hindu teachings?
I didn't really consider it, because I don't really. I guess the only reason is because I don't really look to music for that kind of thing. Like I'm like I said, I just listen to the music just for the sounds themselves. Yeah. And I listen to them for their innate artistic qualities and not like for what they're supposed to represent or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure that would be quite an enjoyable experience to kind of listen to it in that context.
Give that a try. But right,
and maybe if I read up a little bit more on like her background with like her spiritual journey with Hindi teachings and stuff like that, maybe it would provide a new lens for me to view this album through, but
nothing that would give you.
I'm not going to form as deep of a connection with this as she did, or people in her circle did.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point. Right.
It will
never mean something exactly as it meant to her. Right.
And I'm okay with just accepting that and just like
totally. Yeah. Listening to it as it presents itself. Yeah.
And I think it's just as good in that way. And I think it's as someone who just appreciates sound play and texture and stuff, I think is
a lot
really
to
cool.
grab onto. Yeah, it's a very good record.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of you brought up a really good point in that rhythm section is more like an atmosphere section. There's a lot of really great, formats in which the sound. There are a lot of great presentations of this sound that exists. Unendingly on this record, that just comes in different forms on each track, but it's the same energy and the same, religious and musical passion. And so everything is this, this very large and manipulated and malleable atmosphere. So I would say your description of the rhythm section is more of like an atmosphere section is very accurate. And the record really as a whole, as less of a piece of like jazz music, but more as like atmospheric music to define like an ambiance or set a tone, or to give it's kind of like a humidifier of records. It provides a quality to an existing condition or action that like
it's like the jazz equivalent to an air purification system.
Right. It's like and so I bet when Alice made this record, and perhaps when she listened to it or when others listened to it and meditated, like they found great. What's a dead ass mosquito on my leg? They found great utility in the record for the ambiance that it creates, the ambiance that it facilitates, which is one that's conducive to successful meditation.
I think these songs could fit as well in a mix of jazz songs as they would in like maybe a mix of ambient works and like drones and stuff like that, because while yes there are very clear jazz elements at play, I mean it's pretty hard to ignore that there's a saxophone in it for most of the time and an upright bass and stuff like that, but it's much more just kind of a cerebral experience rather than an aural more visceral like
sound wave experience.
The just listen to the playing, the virtuosity. And I mean this is the exact kind of jazz that I would be into as a huge fan of ambient music and stuff that's more subtle. Yeah.
That is an interesting, because it carries on some very well-established, Husky's so cute, well-established customs of like conventional jazz.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. But it absolutely is in no way a conventional jazz record.
Mm-hmm.
And when you listen to things like A Love Supreme, or you listen to like Ascension, these are records that like throw away a lot of these like established like musical characteristics of jazz, but are still classifiably jazz.
Mm-hmm.
But following a similar path as Journey and Satchidananda, and that it's like it's more of an atmospheric record that instills a certain idea or ambiance. But I mean, it still seems to work well when you listen to this record, because it's like it's kind of like a grounding agent, and that I think really makes it ultimately very accessible. Let alone the fact that it's only 5 tracks. It's only like
it's pretty tight.
a little over 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's not.
This is not normal for. Well, I take that. Some of these jazz records in the 60s and 70s were about that long, but
Well, I was gonna say
for a record of this style.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I think you're on the right track, and that the 70s were.
It's a push pin.
Oh wow.
Wow. Someone could get fucked up.
What are you gonna do with it? Put it in
Eat
the.
it.
Put it in. Eat it.
Eat it. Put it in here.
Put it in the ground so that the sharp part isn't facing up.
Fucking idea. Cool. Sorry, what were you saying? I apologize.
No, I was gonna say the 70s were a time where jazz was moving toward like getting more ambitious with the lengths of songs and stuff, because like I mean, it's the era where fusion was starting to come into the fold. I think Herbie Hancock was already doing stuff.
Yeah.
And his albums are typically only 4 tracks each, 10 minutes or so.
Yep.
So you're already kind of on the path of like shorter, like shorter track list lengths, but longer song lengths.
Longer song length.
So
which is descriptive of.
So I don't think this is
future era of jazz.
Yeah, I don't think this album is that like out of the ordinary in that sense. So
right.
It was probably pretty easy for someone to pick this up and be like, oh, it's a jazz record, and kind of open them up to that kind of this area of this style of music that's more.
If you can fall within that realm.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And we were saying earlier that it's not. It doesn't really work. It doesn't. I mean, it's like kind of free jazz, but not exactly. And one thing that pushes me to think that it's not really free jazz is because when you hear quintessential free jazz stuff, like Ornette Coleman and artists like that, it seems like they make a deliberate effort to make it really chaotic and dissonant, and not really. I mean, if you're throwing key and tempo and all that kind of stuff out the window, it's really just kind of a frenzied thing. Whereas this is like very much trying to stick to
There's work to it.
It's trying to stay very grounded in its mood. And style. So that's why I think
it strays a bit, right? Yeah. And this might just be because of the fact that it's an attempt at at making meditation jazz, which I feel like cannot be cacophonous.
Well, right, because it would disrupt your mental.
Yeah, that's right. No, I agree.
It's free in a sense, in that it's kind of it's freely
vastly
improvised, and there's
any-
not that much structure to the tracks.
Yeah.
But it's still very. It's not as all over the place as a free jazz project would be.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So since it is only 5 tracks, do you want to go track by track? I feel like that'd be an easy thing to do for an album like this.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's something that's one thing I will say about this is that in the attempt for them to stay like as grounded as possible with the mood, there isn't a whole bunch of variety to these songs. They all kind of fit within the same kind of specific range of moods. So
I agree with that.
and that doesn't really take away, but I don't know.
But that's kind of Right, and that's right. It doesn't really take away, but it, and it. I mean, I guess you could argue that it adds. Actually, it kind of. I mean, in the sense that this is and then this becomes difficult because if we determine that this record is solely for, or it was mainly created for the purposes of meditation. Then it would be a benefit, the idea that every song sounds very similar, and perhaps you have just little breaks where you can open your eyes for a second and then return to your meditative state. But if it's not, and if this record should be taken as a compilation of 5 songs, considered from an angle of experimental jazz, then maybe it doesn't work.
Yeah, maybe it's not quite as.
It doesn't hold up to. It's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah. I do see subtle differences in all these tracks. But
if you played the beginnings or endings, then you could absolutely know which track this was. But there definitely are the changes are less distinct.
Yeah. I think at least with the first 4 tracks, there's a pretty easy to see formula, which is basically the bass line does a riff, or the bass does a bass line. That pretty much loops throughout the entire thing. There's not that much alteration with that. Yeah. Unless, of course, there's a solo or whatever. But
that's kind of the way it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the bass. There's a bass line, and then the atmosphere kind of comes in with the bells and whistles and all that kind of stuff. And then the harp starts soloing and stuff.
Right. Alice adds on top.
Yeah. And you could say, like I said, you could say that about pretty much the first 4 songs.
I agree. Isis and Osiris was the only one that...
Yeah, that one took a little bit... I would say that one's the closest to a free jazz piece.
I agree.
It's much more loose in its presentation, especially because it was a live recording.
That's true, at the Village Voice, New York City, 1970, right?
On July 4th, wow.
Really?
Recorded live at the Village Gate, New York City on July 4th, 1970. How about that?
48 years ago today. Wow. Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
There you go. Yeah, I agree with your assessment. I think it's I find it very funny that something about John Coltrane. I mean, every track has their respective, source of inspiration, but something about John Coltrane is literally just something about John Coltrane and the way that he plays music, which appealed enough to Alice, where she was like, I'm going to write a 10-minute song about it.
Would you say that the track, something about John Coltrane, makes sense as being called, does it include elements that it doesn't literally reference his work, but is it in kind of the style
indicative
of
it? I would say so. And this is the thing about some jazz records. There's one, it's a live recording of Charles Mingus, bassist, with Eric Dolphy, saxophone player. And each song is unrelated to, there's no theme guiding the record, or even the songs on the record. And it's, more kind of like a rock album in the sense that, it's like you design, a record in an order of songs rather than, you're expected to craft a serialized narrative from your album. So it's you sort of just toss in songs that you might have scribbled something down or you remember a lick. And so in that sense, I think not only is it indicative of
John Coltrane.
Yeah, is that song, right, showcasing some characteristics of John Coltrane's playing ability, but it's just another song that Alice, came up, or another idea that Alice had, and then decided to put on her latest release. But some of it is definitely linked to the title of the record. And then this, I would say so. That's just a thing about some jazz records, is they're kind of just designed it's like a set list, It's just you play a bunch of songs that aren't necessarily
especially
related
because
to each
in
other.
this, one of the cornerstones of jazz albums is making sure that because it's all about interplay and making sure the musicians listen to each other rather than a sheet of music, that it's pretty much all recorded live.
Yeah. Just
in one take. So
absolutely.
It's pretty much
especially for things like this. I mean, there's no way that you could overdubs perhaps with just some light I don't know, percussion or like
Yeah.
certain sound. But right, yeah, you're right.
You can't
totally.
really recreate.
Definitely. These things are recorded live for the sake of being captured live. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I wish this record were like twice as long.
You think so?
I wish each song was twice as long.
Mm.
I think that would have been really very cool.
What's your favorite one?
I think the second track.
Shiva Loka.
Yeah, Shiva Loka. I think Shiva Loka is the most... I think what you're looking for in the best track on this record is one that's the most comprehensive and representative of the incredible variety of sounds found in this record. And I think Shiva Loka is just that. Like you have
that is a good example. Yeah, I would say that.
Right. You have these tones that present themselves in Stop in Bombay, and you have some of the somber nature of Something About John Coltrane, and you carry some of the free jazz components of Journey and Satchidananda and Isis and Osiris.
It does kind of...
Sounds a lot, right. It just sort of sounds like if you blended them all together. Yeah. And it's even it's 5... What is it?
6.5
minutes. Yeah, I mean, compared to the rest of the record.
It's a pretty nice, bite-sized chunk of what you're going to hear.
Exactly. Everything else. No, so that's why I think that's my favorite track. Some really great songs, really great sounds, and others. But what about you? What's
probably the title track is my favorite. Either that or the...
fantastic improv on that.
Yeah, I think the title track is my favorite, and then Isis and Osiris is the second.
It's a really good one. Yeah.
I just think this is such a good opening.
Yeah. I agree.
Probably my favorite part of the entire album. I mean, it kind of sucks that it happens this early on, but my favorite part is after the bass has started playing and I hope I'm saying it right.
Tambura.
The tambura and the bells start introducing themselves, and then Alice's first on the harp, it's a really psychedelic because the way it's panned in the mix, it sweeps over everything. It's so
it works in a really
cool effect that I really just like.
And what about
it? Really
it just envelopes everything,
envelops you and pulls you into the world,
to the record. Yeah. What about when Pharoah Sanders enters with that ripping melody?
Yeah, no, that's really cool too.
Also
the weird thing about that I still haven't been able to figure out is it is a saxophone, right?
Yeah.
But the tone of it on this track, and I don't think this happens on any other part, it sounds kind of like a fiddle almost in the very first part of his solo.
Of that solo.
I'm sure that you probably wouldn't think that until I told you that, but I don't know. Maybe it was where I was listening to it or with what I was listening, because I listened to it a few times in my headphones, a few times in the car.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there were some times where I heard it and I was like, is that just a violin with no vibrato?
It's a soup, man. It's
kind
sharp.
Of a weird,
He is, as we were saying earlier, one of the things he's known for is overblowing and establishing this as and that, as you said, that got carried into, Kamasi does this a lot in his music.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe my mind, had to adjust to the soprano. Maybe my ears are more...
Sharp. Yeah.
Maybe my ears are more accustomed to tenor or alto.
That could be it, yeah.
So
the
maybe
soprano is pretty... when you hear it right, and it doesn't really... you listen to almost anything that Coltrane did later in life, and really in his prime, and you get a bite of that soprano, but not in the same way that Pharoah Sanders plays it on this record.
Yeah.
It's still a weird sound to get accustomed to. In any regard.
I think it's a good sound.
Not to bash it, but it is. But right, I can definitely, you hear it and you're like, I don't know if that's a saxophone.
Yeah,
I like it, but it's I don't totally know if I'm not sold on the fact that that's a saxophone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I get that. What was your second favorite track?
The live one, Isis and Osiris.
Oh yeah.
I think the recording is a bit. I think for a live recording, it's quite well recorded.
Yeah.
It sounds
fantastic.
If I hadn't been told it was live, I probably would have just assumed it was made in the same session as the rest of the other tracks.
Yeah, I agree. And at the peak of that track, it does just sound like a studio recording.
Yeah, and it gets really. It does have an undulating quality, and in a way that maybe a free jazz piece would.
Yeah.
Except it's still pretty melodic. So
it is, which is
and
right.
harmonious sounding, which it's just really cool.
Representative of this record. Yeah. No, I agree.
And
it features each. I think that track really shows each musician playing like it's some of the best of their abilities.
Yeah.
And Alice is banging out some great chords, and like Tanner Sanders' solo is just fantastic. It's such a long and very like there's a lot to it. It's an incredibly complex saxophone solo.
There is both piano and harp on this one, right?
Yeah.
Not just the piano.
Not just the piano.
Yeah. Which I think that's really cool. I think
That's true.
She
must just move to one.
Did she start with the piano and then move to the harp?
I think so, yeah.
I don't remember.
I think it was the first. I think she started
Yeah.
with the move to the piano.
One thing that this track reminds me of that I like about this is it doesn't sound... Like, there's some jazz that's so, like, focused on the studiedness of the players and, like, how the players are just, like, their repertoire is so advanced and good that it can sound kind of, like, I guess, pompous in a way, or kind of pretentious. This doesn't seem... Like, obviously, all these musicians can play their instruments very well, but it doesn't have that aura of, like, being...
It's like a competition
for highbrow listeners. It sounds like, like her piano playing sounds very like
down to earth,
welcoming, I guess,
accessible. That's a good point.
I think and
that's
something I like about it.
I think that these are all ways in which I'm sure that she picked up, some of these teachings from Satchidananda and and these like some basic tenets of Hinduism, but. No, you're right, and they represent themselves in the music well. That's a good point. Yeah, it doesn't ever really feel like this record is designed for someone who has to. It really, I mean, it's a very, very welcoming record. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
So that's cool. Also, that reminded me there was the bass solo at the end of Something About John Coltrane. That's I think really cool,
very good.
And also kind of like
Charlie Hayden on the bass, right?
Yeah. No, Cecil McBee on this one. Charlie Hayden did bass on the live track. Okay. Cecil McBee did bass on the first four. There's a part where he gets so high up on the neck that it's like almost out of tune. And it's like like you can. It's almost like you can hear he's straining.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's kind of a funny feeling. I like listening to.
That's the thing about these bass solos, and in particular this one, is it's like. Yeah, I mean, I've thought the same thing. You can hear how, like how exhausting of a solo it is. That instrument is it's just a fucking beast. Like, to do anything on it that has any substance. And this is a great example of, you can hear him straining as he goes into the tippy top of the neck.
I've never played a double bass. I mean, just regular, like, electric bass guitar makes my fingers hurt because the strings are so big and tough.
Imagine that thing, but strings are bigger.
It's like,
instrument is a couple feet taller, and you have to, especially some of those some really fast jazz tunes.
Wow, like the
you hear giant steps or those changes and just all those crazy stuff. But no, I agree. That's a really good bass solo. I love also. It seems like you can really. I read this was recorded at the Coltrane Family Studio in like upstate New York.
It says Dix Hills, New York.
Dix Hills, New York.
I don't know where that is.
I think maybe it's upstate. Would you Google it?
It's a hamlet and census-designated place on Long Island.
Oh, so it's not. Well, you can
the town of Huntington in Suffolk County, New York.
Oh, so that's on. Yeah, okay. So that's like way out in the tip of Long Island, I think. Maybe. I have no fucking clue.
It's right here. So it's way on the corner.
Yeah, it's like kind of midway.
I've never been to New York.
It's it's like you have the 5 boroughs, and then if you go out from Staten Island, which is the like rural borough, not in the city, then you get out to Long Island, and you get into all these like small little towns. But you can kind of hear that it was recorded in this like small home environment, or at least so it really seems. I don't think you can necessarily pick that up on the other songs, but in particular on that one, I seem to get it. I don't know, that was just something when I was listening to it, I was like, oh, it sounds like it, Like, I could, like, see, like the piano that was used in this recording, like, up in someone's home, like, in, like, the suburbs, like, some weird sunken living room.
Yeah,
thing.
so sometimes the production, I feel like, makes me feel like I'm just sitting in the center of the room and they're all around.
They're all
me.
going. Yeah.
What did you think about the production? Because
it has this like umami-esque characteristic to it, and I think it's like,
I saw you use that on Twitter. Are you sure you're using that the right way?
I'm not. I know I'm not, and that's this thing. Is
like, doesn't umami mean like meat taste?
Umami, I think, means I learned it recently. Yeah, it is. It's like meat taste, but it's like
A category of taste in food besides sweet, sour, salt, and bitter, corresponding to the flavor of glutamates, especially monosodium glutamate.
yeah, most likely found in. I think I mostly just mean this like mystical, like, you know, extra quality of like being. I should note that
You're using it in a different way.
right. The cat tweet was like, you know, is this umami like a bunch of cats
I was
and
like,
bowls?
wait, what?
Yeah, right. I thought that one would get more likes, but
Well, I think it's just hard for people to understand.
that's a fair point. It wasn't really a bad job.
It said on the Google search for that word,
For
it said
umami.
the origin is Japanese, literally deliciousness. Umami is
Umami is deliciousness.
Yeah.
It's like I think
that's nice.
I think it has this. I'll use a different word. I think it has this, like, a very like spiritually palpable quality to it.
Okay.
That that like, yeah. I think, you know, it sounds like if you're sitting in the center of the musicians in a room playing the record. But like in particular, it sounds like some songs enclose you more in this room than others.
Yeah. I don't know how you listen. Did you listen in headphones or in
I
speakers
use
or what?
headphones and my car speakers, the same methods as you.
Yeah.
I have like over.
Because especially when I listen to it in headphones, there's some like really hard panning on a lot of the stuff. Like
some of that stuff.
a lot of the tambura mostly is in the right channel most of the time, and the harp is in the left.
It's on the left. Yeah. That's another thing is they were in the first couple of years of understanding how to use like
How
stereo
to EQ and stuff.
Yeah, how to properly organize sound from ear to ear.
Yeah.
And so you get studio decisions like that now seem ludicrous, but then were like interesting attempts, you know, at utilizing new technology.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much what led me to the feeling of it being like in a room, because it's literally like someo's on this side, someone's on this side.
That side. Yeah,
You know,
you're in a room. Yeah, you're getting. That's a good point. Yeah.
And maybe it was an attempt to like not have like maybe if you had I'm worried that like if you had all the instruments just mixed center, maybe it would get kind of muddy and you wouldn't be able to like pull like the sounds out of it. So maybe that was an attempt to kind of get them
separate them.
Yeah, to get them to make sure you're able to hear each individual element.
That's a fair point.
That's what I do sometimes in my songs. Like if I have some like special effect or something that I want the listener to pay attention to, I'll put it to one side so they can be like, oh, okay, I'm listening over here.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you like? I particularly think the change in timbre from the drummer, using brushes, using sticks, and in some ways doing so on the same melodic ideas in several different tracks, I think really made for something interesting. In particular, on the first track, Journey in Satchidananda, is like sticks, you know, and then I think that melody reappears in Shiva Luka, and it's in brushes, and I feel like it has an interesting, like a new quality to it that it didn't have before.
Like I said before, that's it's kind of like further back in the mix than the rest of the elements, so
That's true.
It's more of like just an atmospheric element, and I couldn't really tell when when they would change. Like there was like I think the use of the brushes was probably my favorite like way that he was drumming.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of like like flurries on the snare with the drum, with the brushes, like during the fills, that I thought was really nice. And I can't really tell what he was doing because I was paying attention to the foreground more, but there's generally just kind of lightly tapping on cymbals the whole time. That's what it felt like
Adding
to me.
things there. So then, this was leading my question. Do you think like the several cycles of the same melodic idea, do you think it makes for like good like sensitivity to change throughout the record? Or do you think it's like bad that like one element can get shifted and like this idea can become either this like terribly bad or terribly enjoyable thing?
I think it has the same effect that a lot of ambient music has, in that it'll have this idea and loop it over and over. So eventually you'll get numb to it, and then, like, what's an example? Like there's this piece by this composer, I think he's Danish, I don't know, named Folk Rab, and he had this piece called Was, or What in English.
Yeah.
And it's like 20 minutes long, and it's just one tone that over time, through use of like harmonics and stuff, eventually like changes pitch, but you don't notice it until like you're halfway through the piece and you're like, this is a completely different note than what I started with.
Yeah.
So I think what I mean by bringing that up is like, it'll just be this one continuous thing that I'm just like, okay, I understand that this is all this is going to be for a while, so my mind kind of slips into the background for me, and then once I kind of, I guess, get bored and it comes back to the forefront of my mind, I'll notice what was different, as opposed to what
as you are now
compared to
before.
yeah. So I think that's the effect that this had on me, is it kind of lulled me into just kind of a state of just
content,
being in like kind of an entranced mode, and then when I brought my mind back to the foreground, like an example is on the track, I think it was something about John Coltrane. There was a part, or maybe it was on Shiva Loka, there was a tambourine part that was mixed very hard in the right, and at some points was very loud.
Yeah.
So I was kind of lulled into that ambient state, and then this tambourine like got really loud at one point, and I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of like
knocks you out of this REM sleep thing.
Yeah, and that's one of the examples where the hard panning and the kind of mixing might have impacted. It sounds a little bit dated to this point, I guess, is what I could say. But it's not a huge bad part.
Do you think you could see yourself? I know I sort of asked a version of this question earlier, but do you think you could see yourself meditating to this record? Do you think you'd start with something else that's a little more straightforward, design for meditation, and then move to this, or do you think this would be like a ground level meditative record? Does this record make you want to meditate also?
Well, I mean, I'm not super like well versed in the world of meditation. I used to do it before, but it was not in any sort of spiritual or religious context. It was just like
it just happened.
It was just more of a therapy kind of mental health kind of thing.
It wasn't right. It wasn't like
where I would just like use an app that would play it would just like play lapping water or whatever, and I would just kind of sit there.
Yeah.
But so that's the only way I know how to meditate. I don't know what religiously oriented meditation is like.
This record.
But I could see myself, just standing still and listening to this and not be bothered. I guess I don't know if that answers your question, but
I think so.
Like if I got into the routine of meditating and then bringing this into the fold,
let's say you have reached the point where you can perform like the form of meditation that someone as connected to Hindu dogma as Alice Coltrane would be. and you like are going to meditate,
Mhm.
and perhaps you want some music. I don't even know how that would, if music is like a component of it, or if it's solely like an augmentation to your meditative experience. Do you think you could pick this record like your first go around, or do you think you'd have to wait and do something?
I really don't know. I'm too far disconnected from that world to be able to form an opinion on that.
That's a fair point. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Perhaps for people who like were in her religious circle at the time and more listened to like traditional Indian and North African music.
Yeah.
Then coming to this might have been a little difficult because it's bringing more American musical elements into it.
Yeah. It kind of normalizes some of this. Yeah. At least normalizes it in the Western context.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I get that.
So yeah, I don't know. It would just depend on what angle you're coming at it from.
Fair point. That's a fair point. Oh, I see that.
As far as like actually, I feel like I would have a better time meditating to something like quieter.
Right.
Basically, like she has this other record, which is the only other thing I've heard from her, that was released in the 80s when she was fully into this, like, at this point she was like a, I don't know what the word is. It's like the Hindu equivalent of a priest or something.
Or like a yogi?
No, it's a different word. I don't want to
I don't
mess it up for
either.
offending anyone.
Yeah.
But, yeah, she was like, she was very much like, this was her life was oriented around this now.
Right.
She released a cassette-only release to her close acquaintances in the circle that was like her singing traditional hymnals or like traditional songs from this faith with like new age synths underneath. And it's very, very ambient, very like kind of calming, and I think I would have a better time listening to something like that because it's more, because with electronics you have, I think it's easier to control something like that when you're making like synth pads or whatever. So
and you can design it more appropriately for
that's probably
meditation.
Whereas with a band, it's like multiple instances of human agency.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of control there. So
yeah, that's true.
Maybe that's I don't know.
Kind of get lucky where you don't. Yeah.
That's me talking as intellectually as I can about that. Is it thunder or fireworks or both?
I think it's fireworks. It might be thunder though. I don't know. It sure has been like kind of weird. Yeah, I have too. It has been this kind of weird pattern of like some really loud booms and some soft booms, and also booms that are not timed together. And then there's this strange screech that's joined the mix too. I have no idea what the fuck that is.
This is a nice addition to the
car braking. I don't know. Do people like do donuts in the parking lot here at UTD?
I haven't witnessed anything.
That's fair. We're filming on location at UTD. We should add. Matthew introduced our location earlier, but just as a more generalized description.
The obelisk is lit now.
The obelisk is it is a life. Hopefully we will enter its
warm embrace.
Yeah, warm embrace.
Hopefully cold. I want a cold mist.
Yeah, it's hot. The last thing I need is have you thought what if it's like a cryo chamber, like that cryo
like there's someone in there?
Yeah, getting their like balls frozen off.
Seems too thin
for muscular therapy. You think so?
The person would have to be really thin to fit in there.
It's probably bigger than it looks.
I don't know.
That's a big ass. I'm gonna go investigate.
Yeah, go look at it.
I'll come back.
Okay. Evan's gonna investigate how big he really thinks this obelisk is.
Either one of us could totally easily fit in there.
You think so?
Oh yeah, guarantee it.
Oh, okay.
No doubt about it.
I don't know. It looks kind of small to me from back here.
It looks small, but I promise you, it's bigger than it looks.
Well, let me riddle me this. Did you feel anything?
Yes.
You felt mist?
No. Let me go back up there.
Riddle me this. I said. I'm so dumb. We're walking closer to the mist, so now there will be more mist sound.
Nothing.
Yeah, I told you.
You're right. I do. It does.
It's
feel
just
like, It feels like I'm interrupting like an exhibit at the Nasher or something.
Yeah.
It's right. It's
yeah.
like sick, but it's like really like it's a weird kind of like artistic.
Okay, maybe I could fit in there, but I would be cramped.
You could fit in there pretty easily.
I wouldn't feel very good.
Well, I mean, not because you'd be cramped, but because it's like negative, 30 degrees.
No, I think it would be a little claustrophobic in there.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think you would fit in there, all right.
Oh, okay. To each their own.
That's a fair point.
So as we're, I guess we're walking back now.
We're walking back
because it's almost 10.
That's true.
What's your
Final thoughts?
Final thoughts on Journey and Satchidananda?
If I ever approach the task of meditating, like with like serious interest in authenticity and like a comprehensive and like genuine meditative experience, then I will listen to this record.
Okay.
Like with like an incredible amount of patience and focus, like more seriously than I've listened to any other record before.
Okay.
But if I'm driving on the tollway and I'm going south towards downtown, let's say I'm on my way to 35. I'm gonna go to Austin, right? I'm driving on the tollway.
Austin.
My dad's from New York.
Okay.
Then I probably wouldn't listen to this record with as much focus and patience as I would if I were trying to meditate to it. Which I guess just leads me to my ultimate final conclusion. This record is best suited for the environment of meditation, for the act of meditation. I think it has a real faculty in that regard, but otherwise it's just a very fantastic jazz record.
That's cool.
But for someone who doesn't meditate, I think it doesn't reach that high plane of meaning. But anyway, enough of my rambling. What about you?
No, that's good. I'm still not going to be able to, like, the way I consume art and listen to music and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think that it'll ever serve that purpose for me as like being this utilitarian, like, spiritual guide or anything. I just purely enjoy it for its sounds, its textures, its fun, like
timbres.
Yeah, just the sounds that Alice comes up with are really interesting to me.
Definitely.
And I most certainly can blast this in the car on the highway and enjoy it just as much as if I were listening to it in my room.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Much like Kamasi Washington said on the What's in My Bag video, where he got this on CD, where I got the idea to pick this album, he said that he's going to be blasting Alice Coltrane in his truck or whatever he said he had. So
That's F-150.
Yeah.
Kamasi Washington probably does drive an F-150. That's like an equalizing agent, Playing that much experimental jazz, you must have to dive into redneck America.
You've seen like how he dresses? He's got this like
That's true.
incredibly ornate,
He
like
has the,
he looks like a fucking.
There's a word for it. I remember reading this word in a magazine, but I don't.
He looks like literally he came
remember the word.
from heaven as a prophet or something.
That's true. Yeah, he's coming to. Yeah.
And I definitely know. I think jazz itself serves that kind of purpose for him as an artist, like you were saying. Like I feel like jazz is his kind of religion in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like it brings him higher up
to
a higher spiritual plane,
a higher consciousness.
Yeah.
Also, then not to say that this record couldn't be blasted on the highway, but that you think if he blasted it on the highway, just in the same way that you would blast it on the highway, would it mean the same thing?
Oh, I don't know.
And if so, do you think these meanings would align at all? Or if
maybe
not,
just a little bit.
Would your meaning meet up with his meaning at a bar, let's say?
I don't know. Probably not.
Probably not.
He'd probably just be listening to it because he likes it.
Right.
And he likes the history behind it.
Right, okay.
Just because it's fun music.
Yeah.
I would listen to it similarly, but also added on to that, I would just want people to hear me listening to it.
Yeah.
It's one of those albums that's like, look how cool I am that I know about this.
Satchidananda, yeah.
I'm so cultured.
I'm hitting a hard Satch, man.
Yeah.
Tuesday morning Satch, man. On the grind.
Yeah, but as someone who, I mean, I've heard a good deal of it, like just jazz music in general. But as far as albums go, I've probably listened to less than 20 in like their entirety. So with that, so with that in mind, this is probably one of my favorites so far.
It's a great record.
It's up there with like.
She's incredibly talented.
Mm-hmm. It's up there with like Time Out and freaking.
Kinda Blue.
Yeah, Kinda Blue. What's another one that I had on my? I made a top 10
jazz records.
Yeah. I put the Epic on there. I put Undercurrent by Bill Evans and Jim Hall.
Yeah. Amazing duo.
Yeah. Yeah, stuff like that. Headhunters.
Headhunters. You can't leave that one out.
Yeah. Also, I put the Charlie Brown Christmas soundtrack.
Another great.
Because that's literally that really is a jazz record, and it's great.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Vince Guaraldi Trio's like amazing. One of the best rhythm
Yeah.
sections in all of jazz history.
That's a really cool
record. Yeah.
Okay, so before I turn the car on and this turns to phone quality, next week,
De La Soul.
De La Soul.
Stakes is high.
You're locking it in?
I'm settled on it. Yeah. I think
Okay.
that'll be a fun one.
Stakes is high.
We haven't done a rap record, and that one I think is good.
Okay, well I'm excited.
It'll be good.
I think it'll be good.
It'll be fun.
Okay, well, thank you for doing this with me again.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on the show again.
Say something and then hit stop. Say something interesting.
When I groove, I groove. When I lose, I lose. When I choose, I choose.
Mm-hmm.
And when I use, I use.